I was a single mom back then. I had 3 children and the weight of the world on my shoulders. And unfortunately, because my skill level was not what it is today, it limited my prospects of how much money I could make. And just like the rest of the world, this happens to pretty much everybody as they're on their journey of life, trying to earn an income and support their family. Sometimes we're relegated to getting a second job, and that's what I had to do. I was lucky that my sister lived with me at the time, and she agreed that if I got another job, maybe a couple nights a week to just try and earn a little bit of extra money for the family, that she would be willing to watch the kids for me so I didn't have to pay for babysitting. This would allow us a little more ease and comfort in our daily life, because my day job as a receptionist was just getting us by at that point, but it was really tight and I needed to make a little extra money. Every day I would pass by many different stores on my way to my day job, but I kept passing this one orange taco truck, and it was hard to miss. It stood out in the middle of everything because it was bright orange, and I didn't really have a lot of skills in other things. So one day when I drove by it, I actually saw a big sandwich board outside of the taco truck that said "Help Wanted," and immediately I thought, this could be something that I could do a couple nights a week. I always passed by it during the daytime, and the area that I drove in was pretty decent. It wasn't a bad area. It was kind of industrial, and there were a lot of buildings and other shops around, but I never really went by there at nighttime. So I decided that day when I saw it that after work I would pull over to the taco truck and inquire about it. While I was at work, I went ahead and just went online and saw that they were taking applications online. That the application process was pretty simple. It only asked a couple of questions. They didn't even want you to upload a resume. They just wanted you to put your name and information and what hours you were able to work. And so it was really easy. So I did that when I was at work. It only took me a couple of minutes to do it. And I just decided that after work, I would just stop by the taco truck and go that extra mile to introduce myself, and whoever was there, let them know that I actually stopped by. Even if a manager wasn't there, I would ask them to tell the manager and leave them a message that I stopped by. I just felt like it would give me the advantage over all the other inquiries they were sure to be getting. Online, it shows a little extra effort that somebody actually showed up. And I also was going to mention that I worked really close so that they would know that even if I had to go directly from one job to the next, one job to their taco truck, it would be really easy because I'm already in the neighborhood. So after work, I drove into the small alleyway and I pulled up right behind the taco truck and parked. And it was only about 5 minutes away from my work, but it was during that time of year in Washington where it gets dark even at 4:30 at night. And so I pulled in behind the taco truck, but it was now dark and the rain had made the brick-laid parking lot look a little eerie because it was reflecting the red light that the taco truck was putting out, but there was also a sign behind it that said "Kill the Bill." So there was a mixture of red lights all over the building or the wet driveway, and the blue luminant light was also casting a light. So it was just very interesting, and I never felt that way when actually passing by the taco truck, but driving in at this time of night with the reflected lights on the wet ground, it just felt a little eerie to be there, and there wasn't a soul in sight. That was the other thing that was really strange. There was a random bicycle, 10-speed bicycle, just standing up in the, next to the building, but kind of sticking out in the middle of the driveway. bright red lights on both sides, with the yellow Kill the Bill running down the center, and this orange taco truck just sitting there with the last 3 digits of their phone number showing 666. I was raised in a religious Catholic household, but I watched horror movies incessantly growing up, and I just really didn't have any weird superstitions or fears when it came to the number 666, although I always thought it was kind of funny when you would see something that would actually have that number to it, because it did just kind of create an air of, I don't know, macabre creepiness, I guess I would say. So when I walked up and I noticed for the first time that the last 3 digits were 666, I just kind of laughed to myself. But at the same time, and being there at night, and the way that all the red lights were illuminating the truck, and the eeriness of everybody being gone there, it was a time of day where you would have expected that people were visiting the other stores and other things, but for some reason when I went there, it was just like there wasn't another human being around, and it just, something felt weird to me. It didn't feel the way it had just felt a few minutes earlier when I got into my car and was driving down the street. I almost felt like when I turned and made a left into this parking lot where the crazy taco truck was, it almost felt like I entered into some other type of dimension or something, where it was creepy and there wasn't a living soul anywhere to be found. What made it even more eerie, I think, is that I went up to the opening of where you place your order at the truck, and I called out hello, thinking someone was in the back where I couldn't see them preparing food, and no one came forward. There was literally, I don't think, anybody even in there, and yet the sign said open, the window was open to receive orders, but there was no one. I actually stood there for a couple of minutes because I thought, maybe somebody stepped out, or, they went into another store, had to run a quick errand at one of the nearby stores, and I'm just going to sit here because I'm already here. I'm going to sit. They couldn't leave this place for more than, I would imagine 5 minutes if somebody had to run, go. I didn't know if they had a bathroom in there or what, but I would imagine that even if they had to go outside of the truck, they couldn't be gone more than 5 minutes. So I just kind of stood there and waited. And the longer I waited, the more creepy it felt. The more alone I felt, and the more the night and the creepiness and the eeriness of the ambiance was starting to seep into my bones, and I was starting to feel this coldness. I didn't understand why nobody was there at the truck, and after about 7 minutes, I just decided that I was going to leave. It started to rain and nobody was coming, and I thought, this is really odd, and I'm standing here in what's kind of like an alleyway in all these red luminant lights. It's starting to rain, and nobody has been inside that truck or answered for the last 7 minutes. And I just felt like I was now wasting my time. But I think it was more than that. I was starting to get a little creeped out. And I'm not one who really gets superstitious about things, but there was just an energy in that moment. And the fact that that entire 7 minutes that I was standing there waiting for an employee to come back to the taco truck to greet me, I didn't see one person come out into that alleyway. I didn't see one person on the street. I didn't see one car drive by. It was just desolate. I yelled out my last hello, and still nothing. So I just turned and I headed back towards my car. The weirdest thing happened though. As I was walking away, I literally heard what sounded like an echo of my own voice, only it was not my voice. It simply said, "Hello?" There was something wrong with the way that it sounded, and it freaked me out, and it stopped me in my tracks, and I looked back, and just as I did that, the side door that was on the right-hand side of the menu popped open. I couldn't help it. I walked back towards that door and I opened it up. Hey freaks, there's a lot of you guys listening and watching who are not subscribed. So make sure that you hit that subscription button, ring that bell, and tell me, what do you think she's gonna find when she opens up that door? Leave it in the comments. Stay tuned for part 2. Stay spooky!